What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran and I help people using a spiritual perspective. And today we're going to be talking about something super duper fun for most of my subscribers who probably recognize this topic. But we're going to be talking about twin flames. Specifically, we're going to be talking about twin flame coaches and that you should avoid them. Does that sound a bit triggering? Well, I'm going to explain why, okay? And I've given a lot of thought to this topic. At least 5 minutes worth. And what I've come to the conclusion of, if that was proper English, which it wasn't, but what I've come to understand about twin flame coaches, and hear me out on this, is that they're all full of shit. Okay, so, and I'll tell you why, because I actually used to be, well, I never marketed myself as a twin flame coach, but I used to specifically try and help twin flames. And what I realized going through that part of the journey of my own sort of, what would you call this, the passion to try and help people, that sort of journey, like the spiritual journey, my own taking what I've been through and trying to share that with others. Okay, the humanitarian side of myself. What I've learned about that is about myself is during that period I really didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I thought I did, but I was also in a relationship that was not a twin flame. And so what I realized is you have a lot of twin flame coaches trying to teach relationships that they're not in, that aren't healthy, and charging you a lot of money for it. And it's popular, so they know that there'll always be clients. And number 5, let's just say throw a 5th one on there, is that when twin flame coaches are teaching people, they're teaching it from a very arrogant perspective, which is that I'm right and I know what I'm talking about. And this is how twin flames should be, and this is how they are. And that's really dangerous. Now, I was never sort of like that, but I did have my own opinions, which I guess I was more stubborn to let go of. But when I think of like twin flame coaches that I really like, wow, people should avoid them. You know, like that twin flame all-star guy, like please avoid that guy at all costs. Please. That guy is one of the most arrogant people you could find on YouTube. And he is like totally in this perspective that he's right and you have to listen to him and nobody else knows what they're talking about. And he's in a twin flame relationship and all this, even though he won't show the actual person. So it's kind of weird. And then those people start to give off vibes, and those vibes are icky. They're sick. It's almost like, listen to me, I know what I'm doing. But the twin flame topic is something that is barely understood and has no conceivable way of being proven. Now, I know that that's maybe difficult to hear for some of you, but I'm not here to necessarily bash on the topic itself. The twin flame thing is something that at one point I thought that I was in, but it was really just, I don't want to say narcissist because I know that term can get thrown around a lot, but it was essentially a relationship that was here to catalyze me. That's not the same thing, right? And it wouldn't have been for much later on that I actually would have met somebody that fit the category of what you would think of as true love, minus the toxicity, minus all of that, okay? So when I first started doing coaching, which is one of the things I do, it was heavily focused on helping twin flames. And I always felt like in the back of my mind, somewhere, maybe a doubt, that it felt like I wasn't really helping them. It was giving them this idea that they could become or get with this person simply because I wanted it to be true for myself. I mean, that's really the fundamental belief, the deep down. I mean, you have all these coaches who are not really in relationships at all, but they try to help other people with the twin flame relationship because they need to prove it to themselves. And I think that starts with a very good, modest intention that inevitably turns into something a little bit twisted, a little bit arrogant, a little bit my way or the highway type of attitude. And I don't really want to ever come across like that. Even in this video, which is of course titled Avoid Twin Flame Coaches, my real objective is of course to help you determine the types of people that may be beneficial to you, right? So for instance, when I coach people, it's not about, and that's even a shit word, coach people. I don't like that. There's no other real word for it. But when I do that for people, I'm not focused on a twin flame. I'm not focused on a relationship. I'm not focused on, trying to get your career in order. Essentially, all those are side effects, but what you're trying to do, or what I would hope that other coaches are trying to do, what I try to do is you try to help the individual at the most basic, deepest level, right? So if somebody's in a twin flame relationship, the goal should not be to get them with their twin flame. That the goal should, of course, be to be more accepting of oneself, to look at your own patterns and your own wounds, and to try and work through them, and to get to the parts of yourself using some spiritual wisdom and some practicality and some grounded spirituality to get that individual to feel better, and that hopefully you both can learn and discuss together. I always learn something from my clients. It's never like a one-way street. So a lot of twin flame coaches are not like that, and they market themselves as twin flame coaches, and they will try and put you into this pigeonhole of, this is what my definition of a twin looks like, this is how it should be, and this is my coaching style, and that's how we're going to get you guys back together. But what's funny about that is half the time it's just people plagiarizing. Just people plagiarizing things. That twin flame all-star guy just plagiarizes Eckhart Tolle. I mean, you could look up the information. I'm not just making it up for the sake of shitting on somebody. It's just a dangerous thing. That guy has the same sort of attitude and the persona as Andrew Tate or Elon Musk or Jordan Peterson, right? There's all these pseudo-intellectuals that have more popularity than sense. And it's very, very dangerous to trust a stranger with something that is so unverifiably proven, that nobody can really agree upon. I mean, even people that believe twin flames exist don't believe in the same definitions of twin flames. They don't even believe in the same patterns or the same, the same process. They don't even believe in that. And it's crazy to think about. And then, of course, there's lots of spiritual people that don't believe in it, and lots of regular people that don't even believe in spirituality, right? So you have all of these different opinions and all these different truths and all these different perspectives, and ultimately you're in a jungle. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, trying to find a twin flame coach for you. But when I was the client, I was never signed up for twin flame coaching, but thought about it at the time, years ago now, 3 probably, I felt very disturbed and uncomfortable at the way some of these people would talk, whether they were trying to get me to coach with them or just people that I would come across. And it was always very dangerous. It was always preying on an insecurity that I felt and trying to capitalize on that. And I'm not saying that every twin flame coach is a piece of shit trying to just take your money. A lot of them are. Maybe not even most, but a lot of them. And that is a nightmare for people who are feeling down, who are insecure about a relationship, insecure about love. Because if you take the concept of twin flame and remove the label, what you have is somebody who's come into your life and catalyzed you. They've opened you up, they've exposed your deepest fears, insecurities, they've essentially exposed yourself, they've even exposed your soul. And before you give that a label, you're raw. I mean, go to that feeling. If you're watching this video, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. You go to that feeling of what it was like the first time. You felt raw. I felt raw. You felt open. You felt very vulnerable. You felt like a little baby being born in the world again. Perceptions were open, things were changing in your body, your mind, your soul. Everything starts to shift around. It doesn't stop shifting either. It's not like it shifts and then everything makes sense. No, it just keeps on going like an endless fucking Rubik's Cube, and never being able to solve itself. And that's what it feels like. And then imagine giving that over to somebody who has their own opinions, own beliefs, can't prove any of it, and now wants $400. And they will make you feel bad by saying a lot of stuff, essentially blaming you for the fact that there's a separation. Or blaming you that there are, that this is why they're like that, or this is why you're like this. When it really, the spiritual awakening is not about a twin flame or a soulmate or true love or even finding your dream job. Spiritual awakening is not even about finding peace or enlightenment. Everybody wants to be Eckhart Tolle for some reason, or some monk. If you want to be like that, go, fuck off from society and go live on a mountain. I bet you'll find something there. But for those of us who want to participate in society and pay taxes and eat McDonald's at 2 a.m. For those of us, we have to find some way of balance within our spirituality. And so spirituality is not about ignoring reality or ignoring the world or ignoring the shadow side of yourself or the darkness or the feelings that come up that make you feel less than happy. It's about integrating all of that stuff. It's about accepting all of it. It's about finding out who you are at your deepest level, your deepest self. And you couldn't do that if you were not exposed. So from my perspective, a lot of these so-called twin flames are really just people coming into our life to catalyze us. And I'm of the firm belief that if you are actually in a true twin flame relationship, if we're going with the label, then that is not supposed to look toxic. It may, every relationship has ups and downs, arguments, things where you're trying to come together, understanding each other, compromise. But a lot of those relationships also have groundedness. There's a communication, there's a reality about it, there's compassion, there's growth together. You don't have to look at a twin flame relationship to notice the unhealthy patterns within love dynamics. You could see that in any relationship. You don't need a label to prove these things to yourself. And that's kind of another thing that bothers me is twin flame coaches will use the label to prove something. But that's like using the Bible to prove that God exists. I mean, it's not made for that reason. It's like using a Spider-Man comic to prove that Spider-Man exists, but somebody came up with the comic. So, we didn't just discover it. So the problem, of course, is that when we use this label to prove things or to showcase some sort of wisdom about being a coach or twin flame coach, you're just making shit up as you go along. You really don't know. You have no idea. I mean, you know how many times in my life I've thought I knew something only for it to be completely destroyed at some point in the near future. There's a story that sort of goes, I think it's Socrates, I think it is. And essentially the story is, people kept telling him that he's smart and that he knows so much, he's smartest guy in the city. So he goes around and talks to as many people as he can one day, and what he realized was that he knew very little. He was so smart that he got to the point that he realized he didn't know jack shit. Because while he had all these fancy ideas about things, he didn't know how to do what a carpenter does, or what a mother or a wife or other kinds of vocations. Right? There's lots of stuff that we don't know, and even ideas and perceptions that we're not aware of yet. So, twin flame coaches, even inadvertently, end up taking a lot of liberties with the way that they teach and the things that they're saying. And they come across oftentimes as these over-the-top arrogant people who really don't know what they're talking about. Because, and I know this is not easy to hear, but you're going to get a lot of people who think that they're in twin flame relationships and are just in toxic relationships. And there's no other way to describe it. Everybody thinks that they're different, but you're not. You're not different. I wasn't different. Why should you be? Why should anybody be? We all think that we're not in the bad one, we're in the right one. And we think that about all sorts of stuff in our life, but the truth is you have to go through things to really see the perspective. And we shouldn't throw our money at somebody who tries to offer us a quick fix, right? And again, this is not saying that 100% of all twin flame coaches are evil, money hoarding people, right? This is, of course, a generalization, but it is coming from something that I've recognized or seen. As somebody who has offered coaching and as somebody who has been on the other side of it, I can understand both perspectives. And eventually, one of the reasons why I stopped doing tarot readings, and even specifically twin flame tarot readings, is I felt like a bartender giving alcoholics more alcohol. I didn't like that. Even though it was fine and legal and nobody has a problem and they're the ones paying and they're the ones asking, I wasn't bothering anybody for readings and stuff, that still made me feel, I didn't feel good about it. And some people don't have that problem. Some people just push on through it because it's an easy way to make money. And you don't want to believe that people think like that, but they do. Spiritual people that you claim to be spiritual, that you think are, they act like that. They have this hustle mentality of how much money can they get for the services that they're providing. The only difference is it's masked in spirituality. So on the surface, it doesn't seem like it could be like anything else, like some scam or some too good to be true, method. But it is like that. I've known people like that. They are, they have that mentality of let's just get as much money as we can, I'm going to charge this amount and do this. And even if it started as a way to help people, it becomes very monetary. It becomes, very one-sided. And I don't want people to fall for that. So it may seem like I'm just ragging on twin flame coaches unnecessarily, but it's not, because I don't want people to spend exorbitant amounts of money. I don't want them to give their insecurities away. And I want them to sort of not focus on the twin flame label, because it's not about whether you're in a twin flame relationship or not. It really isn't. It's about how you feel about yourself. And whether or not someone is a twin flame or a soulmate or a violet ray or whatever other nonsensical words that we have for these things, none of that shit is important. It's not about that. It's, can you last with this person? Do you want each other, right? And how do you feel about yourself? Those sort of three things is all it really takes to be in any kind of relationship, right? It doesn't matter what the label is. If it doesn't work and it's toxic and it's then the label doesn't matter. That's what you have. The reality is in front of you. And so it's not going to work, at least at this time. And same thing with a soulmate or any of these people that come into our life that we have connections with. If they don't make you feel good, if you don't feel good in them, if your life's taking you a different direction, if you want different things, if it is toxic or codependent, if there is some type of emotional, physical abuse, you don't want that. And what's so dangerous about twin flame coaches is they will make excuses for the codependent, toxic behaviors. And that is not okay. I mean, I've had twin flame coaches that were even friends of mine at the time try to tell me things to make excuses for how bad I was being mistreated, either because they were mirroring something that I was going on, inside of me, or just explaining it in a way that made it seem like, oh, well, twin flames do that because that's what they're supposed to do. And so you think, oh, well, they're definitely still my twin because it's a good thing that they're hitting me, because now I know it's not because I'm a piece of shit, but because they haven't learned how to express their anger healthily yet. And I'm just there to mirror that back because of my own inner wounds. I mean, fuck, that's like hardcore self-denial. Hardcore shit that I am ashamed to admit at some point got into my head as true. And I've seen other people do that, and I don't want anybody to make that same mistake. So this video is not inspired by pure hate or anything like that. It's so I don't want anybody to ever end up like I was in 2018. It was just not good for myself. Luckily for me, I was able to sort of get out of that, maybe because I've always been a slight pessimist, but I was able to sort of move forward from that. So I tried to make this video to help you guys avoid those same mistakes. So because I don't like it when twin flame coaches make excuses for other people, for partners, and either blame the individual or essentially let the twin flame person off the hook. Nobody should be abusing you physically, emotionally, verbally. None of that should be going on. And we should always be looking at any relationship of whatever label as a way of how does it make us feel? A comparison in the sense of, am I growing with this person? Am I motivating myself? Are we motivating each other? Do we have good times? Are we actually compatible? Do we want the same things? Do we care about the same sort of things? What's going on in our relationship, right? And if you answer those questions honestly, a lot of the time what you'll find is a lot of these twin flames, they're just, regardless of the label, not in good relationships. And what happens is a lot of people are kind of like that with any kind of relationship. And so whether it's a twin flame coach or a relationship coach, you have to be careful. You have to take care of yourself. You should have some sort of discernment. And I know that that's maybe strange coming from a coach like myself. I do like helping people. And I don't want anybody to jump on the Kieran Hunter bandwagon simply because of maybe some of the things I talk about, or for whatever reason. I don't want that. I don't want people to blindly trust what I'm saying or think that I'm amazing. I don't really need you to do that. It's nice, I guess, but it comes with a level of you can't really trust it a lot of the time. So I would never try to take advantage of people in that sense. And I don't want anybody to just blindly think that what I'm doing is correct either. But that's why I try to focus my coaching on helping the individual through their own individual process, helping them remember what they have simply forgotten, rather than trying to, instill their brain with just more dogma and information. I don't think that's helpful. And so I want you guys to take what resonates from this video and use it for yourself. What doesn't resonate, you can leave, at the door, whatever people say. But otherwise, I just wanted this video to sort of inspire people to look at themselves a little bit more and to just avoid some of these pitfalls and traps that a lot of coaches are doing to others.